In a notable break from President Trump, House Speaker Mike Johnson is calling for the Department of Justice to release all of its information on Jeffrey Epstein. Speaker Johnson made those comments during an interview with conservative influencer Benny Johnson.
We should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, they were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity and going after Act Blue.
Let's get this thing resolved. All right, I want to bring in CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa. Robert, always great to be with you. We are seeing this break from Trump's fiercest allies on this. What are your sources telling you? Is this signaling a rift within Trump's Republican Party?
It's great to be with you. For some Republicans, it's more of a delicate dance, like for Speaker Johnson. They want to signal solidarity with the Trump White House and with President Trump. But at the same time, they know there is real concern among Trump supporters around the country about this Epstein case. They don't want it to go away. President Trump has said he's not going to be releasing any files, that he has cast the previous Justice Department of President Biden and President Obama in negative lights and in some way insinuated that any kind of record on Epstein isn't on the level. Yet this has not stopped so many conservatives around the country from saying, hey, we want more information. So Speaker Johnson, you can see, is navigating all of these dynamics and trying to show conservatives to keep his own political capital that he wants answers, but he's also not trying to nudge the president too much.
Because he's got to answer to MAGA enthusiasts as well. And some of those powerful voices in the MAGA movement are also weighing in on Epstein. We just saw Mike Johnson's interview there with Benny Johnson. Charlie Kirk has been weighing in as well. Laura Loomer calling for Pam Bondi's resignation. So how important are those voices to driving action from the president and his administration?
They are certainly important, and you see close friends of President Trump, like former chief strategist Steve Bannon, saying that he's not going to back down when it comes to the Epstein matter. At the same time, there are so few people inside the Republican tent who have the ability to compete with President Trump. But this is the first time we've really seen in his second presidency President Trump facing a reckoning, significant pressure from his core supporters. Yes, he saw that during the debate over the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. There was some pushback about how that all was structured, especially when it came to Medicaid. But on this issue, it goes to almost not only a political level, but an emotional level. There's a feeling among so many Trump supporters that there's more information out there, that Jeffrey Epstein was part of some cabal around the world that was abusing children, and they don't want it to just be put on a shelf.
I want to switch now to the Russia-Ukraine war. We've seen the relationship between President Trump and Vladimir Putin really take a dramatic shift in recent weeks, with the White House giving Putin an ultimatum to end the war. Trump said this about the Russian president today.
So far, I've been very disappointed with President Putin. I've solved a lot of wars in the last 3 months, but I haven't gotten this one yet. This is a Biden war. It's not a Trump war. I'm here to try and get us out of that mess.
Now, Robert, we've seen how Trump can turn on people, but Vladimir Putin is not just any person, and he seems unfazed by Trump's strategy of threatening sanctions and publicly criticizing him. So what more can President Trump do?
He's trying to push President Putin around to get him to the negotiating table, but it certainly isn't easy. My sources inside the White House and around President Trump's inner circle say the president wants peace, that he was elected in his belief as someone who was going to quickly bring a negotiation, at least to start, between President Putin and President Zelensky. But that hasn't happened. President Zelensky is trying to get an end to this war on some level, based on my conversations with administration officials, but he has to defend his country. That's why he's asking the U.S. for more support. And President Putin shows no willingness at this point to end the war. And if he does want to end the war, he wants it on his terms, with a surrender from Ukraine and likely significant land given up.
So Trump's most loyal allies warned him about Vladimir Putin. What are they telling you about how they are advising the president now? And is Trump listening to them?
What he's hearing behind the scenes is that President Putin respects only one thing: brute force. And so the United States is not abandoning Ukraine, though they would like to see some kind of quick end to this entire war. President Trump is going to continue to support Ukraine to some extent. What makes President Trump so different is that he doesn't have the traditional U.S. foreign policy approach like his predecessor, President Biden, or like President George W. Bush, who have a real aversion to Russia when it comes to world affairs and a real skepticism of Putin. President Trump is frustrated with Putin, but he's willing to deal with Putin. The question is Putin willing to deal with Trump? And at this point, I'm told, my sources say, that Putin wants war right now. He doesn't want to have any kind of discussion with President Trump or with President Zelensky.
All right, Robert Costa, thanks so much. Always great to see you.
Thank you.